Hello, I'm Toycat and welcome back to another third channel walk and talk video. This one's going to be very short because apparently I don't have much space left on my phone. I've got to keep this to 6 minutes or less, and we're going to do that while we walk around San Jose. By the way, isn't this a beautiful sunset or whatever it is? Does this video need to have a purpose, or can it just be sunset? I think it can be the second one. So yeah, I'm walking around San Jose that is suspiciously dead. I only realized, I thought it was Thursday, it's actually Friday, it's 9 p.m. This is usually busy time, right? But it's actually incredibly dead. There's no one on my train here, there's no one anywhere around here, besides the occasional questionably homeless looking person. It's a very, very empty place. And, I'm sure there's some code thing to that. But the, something I wanted to talk about, because I'll make snide comments about California every now and then, but yet here I am in California. Wow, you claim to dislike California, and yet you spend time in there. So here's the great thing about spending time in California and California as a non-Californian. There's two theories that can be true about the cities in this state: the San Jose's, the LA's, and the San Francisco's of the world. Either those are three of the highest, the most expensive places to live in the country, both tax-wise and indeed living-wise, rent, etc., etc. All the other cost of living things too, but rent is the big one people pick out because obviously it's your biggest single expense. So either this is the most expensive place to live in the country and it's unjustified, in which case, the less time you can spend here the better, or it's the most expensive place to live in the United States and it's entirely justified, but wouldn't it be great if you could get all of that benefit with none of the cost? Instead of spending rent, what if you could just visit on a short-term basis instead of paying taxes here? Fun fact, you don't pay taxes on places you spend a few days in. I love San Jose because there we go, look at that, man, right overhead. I think that's beautiful. I bet a lot of people get annoyed by that, but I love it a lot. Anyway, so, the great thing about, one of the weird things about the modern era that I think is going to get really complex really fast when it comes to people being able to work from home and people being able to, basically pick their place of employment, but also pick their place of doing that employment. We see it with digital nomads kind of picking countries more and more. But basically, pretty little Taiwan flag. But basically, there's this really interesting dynamic that's going to develop where you can choose where most of history, where you do a job and where what tax rate and what rent, etc. you have to pay to do that job have been pretty linked. Sure, there are some people who do 3-hour-long commutes every day, both ways for 6 hours total, but they're in the very small minority. The vast majority of people are tied into somewhere if they want a job. You want to work at Adobe in this office? It's not a very nice. Honestly, I've seen a lot of tech offices today. Adobe's is not the greatest. You want to work at Adobe? You have to live somewhere within a drive of this place. And so, one of the interesting things, and that's a high-tech company, one of the things that's changing is you can kind of pick where you work, and so you can, and so more and more people are having this access to I will pick where I'd like to be. And so one of the interesting things about California, one of the reasons that I'm always down on it, because I think it's not even a particularly bad place. I think so many people blow it out of proportion because they really want to blow it out of proportion and believe that there's this hellhole that's inside the United States. I think Americans seem to have this huge vitriol for California that I feel is a mixture of the two things I described. But the reason I find it to be distressing is that I've been to this state probably the most of any state. I think I went to LA a couple times, been to San Francisco 7 times, and I've been to San Jose. I think this is my 3rd time here too. Apparently I spend a lot of time in the big cities in California for various reasons, and it's interesting because despite these being some of the most expensive places, they're not that much better. In fact, I would even go as far as to say it's not better than the rest of the country. I don't think it's worse in any meaningful ways. I would say weather-wise, it's I like San Francisco weather. Oh man, look at that company logo. It looks really cool from here, actually. I'd work at Adobe. Okay, I've got a minute left. I've got to make the most of this. But it's really interesting because I see it as not being value for money. I see it as not being, like, being pretty much on par with the rest of the country, despite being so much more expensive, despite paying that 13% top rate of income tax versus 0% in some states. And it's like, how is it that it's like triple, quadruple, like the average rents can be measured in the thousands of dollars, not the hundreds. And it's like, is it good enough to justify it? No, there's something about that I think is really interesting, that like it's kind of calming in some ways, that people need to tell themselves that these really expensive things, they don't actually want them anyway, there's so many examples of this in my life. Like, I don't think I'd enjoy living in a mega mansion. I don't think I'd enjoy having a private jet. I prefer flying commercial, and, if it's a long enough flight and it's affordable enough flying business or whatever. I don't need that first class stuff. That's just better food. That's all that is. People like to justify their current place in life in lots of ways, and this video has to end now. So I hope you all enjoyed this very short walk around San Jose, and I hope that you realize that we try to justify things in lots of ways, and sometimes it's distressing to see things aren't as good as we imagined. Thank you for watching. Third channel, don't care. Goodbye.